Welcome back. I'm Wyatt Goolsby in for Lauren Ashburn. President Trump's Supreme Court pick faces a partisan showdown. Senator Chuck Schumer says Democrats will filibuster Neil Gorsuch's confirmation vote.
Judge Gorsuch was unable to sufficiently convince me that he'd be an independent check on a president who has shown almost no restraint from executive overreach.
The news some Democrats will vote no comes as the Senate Judiciary Committee hears testimony from nearly 30 outside witnesses for and against Judge Gorsuch. For more analysis, we go now to our skybox at the hearings. Carrie Severino, Chief Counsel and Policy Director with the Judicial Crisis Network, joins us. Carrie also previously clerked for Justice Clarence Thomas. Carrie, Senator Chuck Schumer said today that he will lead a filibuster against Gorsuch, and Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania says he'll vote against Gorsuch. Is there a realistic possibility he wouldn't be confirmed?
No, I think Leader McConnell has been very clear that Gorsuch is going to be confirmed one way or the other. But it's still very discouraging to see people like Schumer and Casey mounting this partisan gridlock effort, because this is someone who is so broadly well regarded across the aisle. And unfortunately, I think it's just responding to groups in the far left like NARAL, who has been really opposing him, and some of the voices from the far left, rather than the interests of all of their constituents. I mean, Senator Casey's from a state that voted for President Trump. So we'll see how well that plays back home.
We're hearing testimony this week from groups on all sides of the aisle. You've got Beckett, a law firm advocating for religious liberty. You also have the Human Rights Campaign, which fights for gay rights, and many others. How important is today's testimony?
Well, obviously, Senator Schumer has signified that he doesn't seem to think it's going to make a difference in his ultimate vote, because he announced his vote before the hearings even are officially closed. But really, at the end of the day, I think there's very little. If they're going to oppose someone like Gorsuch, there's very little that anyone, even groups as significant as people like Beckett or the National Federation of Independent Business. There's so many people testifying, many in his favor. They're not really listening to what's even going on at the hearings. I think they've already got a predetermined plan of partisan gridlock here. So I think now that it's just going to be interesting to hear what these people on different sides say today. But I think it's going to be even more interesting to see if there's really 40 Democratic senators who want to block Gorsuch. I think in that case, they'd block pretty much anyone.
Carrie, you've been there following the hearings all week. Just based on this week, have you heard anything from Judge Gorsuch that might give us an idea about how he will rule on a case, for example, dealing with abortion?
He has been very careful, and for ethical reasons, that he can't actually give that kind of information. Of course, it's the stuff everyone wants to know the most about. What would you do with Roe versus Wade? What would you do with these big cases? Would you overturn them? Would you follow them? I think knowing his judicial approach of originalism and textualism, it's hard to see how he would think that Roe was well decided, because it's simply not in the Constitution. He's committed to obeying the text of the Constitution and the laws. However, he has been very careful not to say about that or any other decision, good or bad, what he would do when on the court. If he did, then he would be asked to recuse himself in a later case, almost certainly, and he may violate judicial ethical guidelines.
Absolutely. He has to tread carefully, at least during these hearings. Carrie Severino, Chief Counsel and Policy Director with the Judicial Crisis Network. Thanks again for your insight, Carrie.
Thanks for having me.
Our news partners at the National Catholic Register have in-depth analysis on the Judge Gorsuch hearing. To read more, visit ncregister.com.